Music with Purpose. I'm tonight's host, Tom, and this is Kate Callahan, our Connecticut State Troubadour. Take it away, please, Kate.
This is Connecticut Roads. I was born to a family of four. We told jokes, we sang in the car, with the windows down in summer, spring and fall. We sang songs to feel who we were, and we drove Connecticut roads, and we'd sing until we got home. Well, Sis and I saw the future bright from the top of Talcott Mountains green. So she left home, she went overseas, and I mounted stages to sing. And lifting off out of Bradley Field, over homes and farms and growing trees, well, I could see the roads where I come from, and why my home is where I wanna be. And I love the Connecticut roads, and I'd sing until I got home. And certain roads bend back and forth and become trials, and other roads lead to the truth and save us miles. And I went searching for a city skyline, and I ended up in the heart of a city growing all the time like me. This is where I've gotten my start. Now I see friends on the road of life, and this road is everything we've known of jobs and health, finding love of self. We do it here in this place we call home, and we love Connecticut roads, and we'd sing until we got home. Connecticut roads. Oh, all the way home. Thank you.
Welcome to the chair, and thank you so much for that first one. We're going to have you play a little later, but can you tell me a bit about Connecticut Roads?
Yeah, I would love to tell you about that song. When I applied back in January to be the Connecticut State Troubadour, one of the things I was asked to do was write an original Connecticut song. I thought I kind of had two ways I could approach it. I could try to write a big anthem for Connecticut and kind of incorporate all kinds of landmarks or images from the state. Or I could do what I did, which was take a much more personal approach to writing about Connecticut and see if my story about living in Connecticut all my life might have some universal appeal.
I want to bring to you the best of what makes our towns and our cities in this great state.
Let's go a little deeper in that. Connecticut Troubadour. It's a 2-year position, and you're an ambassador of music for Connecticut, so to speak.
Yeah, I love being reminded of that. I applied for the position in January, and I had to put forth a plan for what I intended to use the platform for. And part of that plan included working with female inmates in the state. We have one women's prison in the state of Connecticut. It's called York Correctional Institution. It's down in Niantic. Part of my mission over the 2 years that I represent the state in song is to get into the prisons and really work with women who've lost all of their resources, help them remember that they'll always have one resource. It's their voice, and really work on developing relationship with the voice, singing, songwriting, lyric writing, circle singing.
I'm interested in the idea of empowering just by learning how to speak maybe a little more loudly, not forcefully, or to write more boldly. The rest of it kind of falls into place. If you start on something simple like just you have your voice and the rest can come from that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you think about these women's lives. They're so structured and limited. They're not absorbing the same kind of stimulus that we are out in the world. So really, what do they have to kind of spark things inside themselves? They have their voice, whether it's something they keep to themselves, sacred, or whether it's something they use to express themselves outwardly. I think it's a wonderful vehicle to enrich for women who are paying consequences for some of the lowest moments in their lives.
Wow, where to go from there? The healing aspect of music that has you have more going on in that regard, don't you? Besides the Woman of Character Award, that was for doing good work, was it not?
Yeah, the Hartford Courant gave me the Woman of Character Award, which I don't think they give out anymore. Somebody had nominated me to receive this award. I was doing work in the West Hartford Public Schools. I was working as an artist in residence and helping teenagers, again, find their voice. This time it was their writer's voice. So really learning to express themselves on the page and get up and take what's on the page and learn how to speak it and present it and perform. And so I was working with teenagers for years in the school systems, and one of the teachers there that was sponsoring my program pitched me as a nominee to the Hartford Courant. So they were celebrating the work I had been doing with the teenagers and also the work I had been doing in the community, giving concerts, raising awareness about music and the healing power of music. My own background and story includes traumatic brain injury. I had to endure to really understand that at my most vulnerable, the one thing I had left for me to arise from was music. Through brain injury, I was able to learn to play the guitar and begin to write songs.
Learn to play, literally learn. Did it help with some finger therapy, hand therapy? Did you
Yes.
already know how to play? Or
I didn't know how to play, and that was part of the reason I decided to try to learn to play the guitar after my injury. I didn't want to try to learn anything that I had past experience with. It was a laborious process, very slow at times, but over the course of about a year, I gained my coordination in my hands, my eyesight started improving, my hearing started improving, and eventually I was able to marry what I was learning on the guitar with my own sense of voice and the sense that I had just gone through something really challenging, and now I felt like I had something to say about it.
goodness, to the rest of us who had an easy start and haven't been yet Connecticut State Troubadour, I'm not going to ask when you started playing guitar, but a bit envious, that trajectory. It's great. The idea of music and healing, well, you know, music with purpose lives on that stuff. I just want to go somewhere before we have to quit. NPR's National Public Radio, Colin McEnroe, is it? What did you say? Well, first, where did you play? How did you get on his radar?
Years ago, before he was a host on NPR, he had a talk show on WTIC 1080.
Oh, really?
So years and years back. And I had released my first album, this was around 2000. He got a hold of my music, I think through his friend Bill Curry, and he invited me on his talk show on AM radio. So that's how he first learned about me. He used to play clips of my music between his segments, and it was, for me, the first time really being on radio and being heard by, thousands of listeners.
Well, for me, he's got a quote that, if I'm misquoting, please, or if I'm paraphrasing wrong, something about channeling something more vast and ancient than she herself is.
I was going to be amazed if you got it word for word. He reviewed a show that I had given about 2 years ago, and in the review that quote came out. And I remember writing to him the day after and saying, it's amazing that someone I know almost as an acquaintance knows me better than my own family of origin. I really felt like that quote tapped into something about me that I would never have put words to myself.
So are you a walk-in? It happens with traumatic brain. That's how they come in. But all jokes aside, I'm blown away further and further by the depth of your own trajectory. Well, does trajectory have depth? Or the breadth of it, maybe, and the scope of what's going after the Troubadour? What is the Connecticut Troubadour ship going to facilitate?
Well, I'm hoping to release a Troubadour album. So an album that is a collection of songs that really give a sense of place, a sense of love for this environment that I've lived in my whole life.
CT, you mean?
CT, yeah.
Yay, Connecticut!
Yeah, I'll release an album next year. And beyond that, I feel like after my 2 years really working for this state, I'd love to get back out on the road and do some more touring and traveling, which I'd done more prior to becoming the Connecticut State Troubadour.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said bigger and better. That didn't come out right. That ties in with my curiosity. Do you go to other places? Do they have a battle of the Connecticut Troubadours? It would be fun.
Well, Connecticut's is one of only 3 states in the nation that actually has a troubadour position. So there isn't a big troubadour convention that happens somewhere in the Midwest, for all the state's troubadours.
Not yet.
Not yet, anyway. There is quite a legacy among Connecticut's troubadours. I've met maybe 6 or 7 of the past troubadours. I'm the 16th. We try to share shows and perform on the same stages together on occasion, not all the time. We're all doing our own thing, but there is quite a camaraderie and a sense of helping to leverage each other.
You were chronicling in your own website.
As troubadours, we're given a freedom with the platform to co-create a plan over the 2 years with the Connecticut Office of the Arts, the office that appoints us. So for me, I realized I was performing in many, many cities and towns throughout Connecticut, and part of my job description is to promote cultural literacy. I thought, cultural literacy? I don't think I know enough about the different cultures of these towns to really promote anything somebody else doesn't already know. But what I did think was, well, why don't I highlight the towns where I'm performing with these 5-minute video blogs? I'm an amateur video film producer, very amateur, but I thought I'd take a half a day and visit a town where I have an upcoming performance, and then interview people, interview locals, interview people who have small businesses in the town, splice together a 5-minute clip of the best that I can discover about these towns where I'm performing. So it's just an effort for me to promote my concerts and also raise awareness about this place that we live in.
Well, you did. The videography, in the first couple of seconds, I spotted Old Lyme, and I have a witness, somebody, before I even heard the resident of Old Lyme. So it's touching. It's reaching across, at least to this viewer. And I encourage everyone to go and listen to whatever else is the Connecticut Troubadour is going to be doing in the next year. Let's say Troubadour is some title you have. You are still Kate Callahan, right?
That's right.
Give us some of that.
All right.
Thank you.
Every so often I'm asked to write a song, either for an event or for somebody who's being honored. And so I have to dig into my creative process and trust that even if I'm not necessarily that connected to the event, or I don't know the person that well, that I have to trust that what comes out intuitively is the right thing. So I was asked to write this song for a woman who was being honored back in West Hartford, where I live. And she was being honored for the charitable things she does in the community. But what I learned about her over the years was that she had had a great loss in her life. She had lost her younger sister. And so this woman, while she was charitable and selfless, she was also sad and grieving. So I wrote a song for her called Wildflower, just to encourage her. Sing one syllable, you find things. One armful, you dream in seas. One night full of good sleep, and the spirit makes you wanna breathe. Oh, knows every move. The phone rings, and you're guessing who they have needs. You know what to do. You give like the prairie gives the earth. One more wildflower. Her poet's eyes see the miracle of handing over a love labored and woven out of blue, and shoulders wrapped and chins a little warmer. This is how the beloved gets through. You hold on to the threads of a life. You let go. Pain changes its mind. When love is a thread, love is a thread. You say more, thank you, more please. I'm here to make the pieces blend, and days become nights, foes become friends, and truth turns the tigers on end. All it takes is a thread and a light. Say yes and be the woman who weaves love back to life, and new rings will fall from your ears, and good rest will break your fall, and brave steps leave tracks, leave tears, and you're living in
This last song I was asked to write for an event just a couple of weekends ago, again in West Hartford, Connecticut. One of the mothers whose child was killed in the Sandy Hook school shooting was being honored for her work since the shooting, her work spreading messages of love, nurturing, healing love. She was being honored with something called the Serenity Award. So I was asked months in advance to write a song to kind of commemorate this occasion and to also reflect the challenges that our nation is going through in terms of instances of mass shootings and the crisis we face around easy access to weapons. So I came up with this song. I hope it serves as a voice for not only people here in Connecticut, but also in the nation. This is called Love Rings Out. When we do good and great and right, love rings out. When we do wrong and make it right, love rings out with gifts of hate and consequence. Somebody made to shake us out of safety nets and bring out the brave. It brought us out. When there's a question in the air, love rings out. When people find themselves in prayer, love rings out. We make change go door to door. But somebody says, if we're not loving, what's it for? Love is the thread. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that love would appear. And when we become a conscious nation, love rings out. When we accept the invitation, love rings out. When people ask to be respected, love rings out. When kindness shines and it's reflected, love rings out. For the land of the free and the home of the brave. For the land of the free and the home of the brave and the home of the brave. Thank you.
Kate was amazing.
By the end of my term as state troubadour, I want to know this state inside and out.